A very mellow bellow. Just forming up then for the off. And Jamie Whittam's Suzuki on the front row facing forwards. Watch the lights on the left hand side of your picture. John Reynolds, I beg your pardon, facing forwards. John Reynolds looking back and Jamie Whittam facing forwards. Now the race appears to be delayed, the red light's still on. Someone I think was a little bit premature getting off. Watch the man walk away, green light, 16 laps ahead of them then. And a good start by Rymer on the Norton in the middle of your picture now. Riding number 23, or 23, I beg your pardon, 23, Terry Rymer on the Norton. Hit the front, I think, from the word go. Rymer then being relegated by the defending champion. Rob McElnea, number one, the race leader, came good really in the dying seconds of the practice session because he had a fairly mediocre early practice session, but came good and squeezed onto the front row. So you know big Rob McElnea better than most, Steve. He won't want to give up that number one plate easily.
Now he'll be pretty determined, and he made a great initial start, but Terry Rymer then dragged him down to Redgate, but he managed to slip back round the outside. Has got a really good start here, but he's being pressured there by the Kawasaki of John Reynolds. I beg your pardon, Jamie Whittam has gone into second spot, so Whittam's there. Terry Rymer obviously feeling his way. It's the first time he's ever raced this Norton. He only got to see the bike on Monday, so he's pretty much a newcomer to the Norton, but I think we're going to see him charging during the race.
Jamie Whittam then coming up the inside of Rob McElnea and turning it in, but McElnea cuts back across the front. That's just how close the action is at the front of the field, and we're only just halfway round the first lap. Down then to the Melbourne hairpin. Now we're riding with Whittam round the outside, chopping back to the inside line, getting the power in now on the Suzuki out of here in second gear, and the nose appears to be in front, Steve. Yeah,
well, Rob Mack went wide there. You saw Whittam down the inside, and Rob ran very, very wide, allowed Whittam through. But you can see Whittam pushing hard. I think Rymer's gone through into second spot. He has relegated Rob Mack number one into third. So Whittam number 5 leads from Terry Rymer number 23 on the Black Norton.
Well, it's heads down, tails up, and a scintillating start to this first round of the 750cc Supercup here at Donington, with young James Whittam from Huddersfield, number 5, leading Terry Rymer, 25 years of age, from Barnhurst on the Norton. First time out, remember, on that bike, so a brilliant performance so far. In third place, number 1, Rob McElnea. In fourth and fifth, it is the two Team Green Kawasaki riders, and I can't make out at this moment in time which is which, but I think Morrison is ahead of Reynolds. Morrison, number 6, is in fourth place. Brian Morrison had a pretty torrid season last year, and the change of machinery onto Kawasaki, despite the fact that he's injured himself in the early part of this year, seems to be working well. But race leader Jamie Whittam heeled hard over on the Mick Grant Suzuki onto the fastest part of the circuit, 145 miles an hour in 6th gear at the quickest point here. And Terry Rymer having looked, well, that Norton certainly performing, but Terry Rymer ran wide.
Yeah, Terry ran wide there. He's had problems during practice on the override, but it doesn't have a lot of engine braking, this rotary engine, and he's still learning. Here we have the on-bike picture from Jamie Whittam's bike. We're on the front here at the moment. There's no one in front of us because they're all behind. So Jamie Whittam pushing really hard. You saw the front end wobble there as the front came up in the air. We're coming up here now to brake hard. Whittam still in front. Second McElnea as Rymer's dropped back to 4th.
Top 6 then. Whittam leads from Rymer. I beg your pardon. It isn't. It's Rob McElnea. My screen here giving me false information. McElnea now coming under threat from a Kawasaki. Looks like John Reynolds, might be Morrison, but it's Reynolds. Number 3, John Reynolds now squeezing up into third place, having gone past the Norton of Terry Rymer. And look at Reynolds go. Reynolds was very, very fast. And looking back from John Reynolds' bike, teammate Brian Morrison, number 6, has got past Terry Rymer as well. So Rymer now has been pushed down to 6th place. But remember, a very different and a very unfamiliar motorcycle that Terry Rymer is riding. Reynolds has gone past Rob McElnea, and if we had a good shot of his face, we could see just how angry he would be. And that was an enormous one. He's gone, and John Reynolds has gone. as we were with him, the back end went.
Yeah, he lost it. Looked to be from that picture, he lost the rear end of the bike as he went into the coppice corner, as he tipped it in, and that picture there was incredible. You saw the thing slide. Here it comes now. You see he's just coming up to coppice corner, he's tipping it, and he's gone back into third gear at this point, braking hard. You see the exhaust lift as he brakes, the weight transfers to the front. As he turns it in now, he's tipping it in, you can see it starts to vibrate. I think probably it's the front end that's going first. The machine's all over the place. He tries to hold it, but no good. John Reynolds is down in the dirt, but fortunately he's up and okay.
Exit stage left John Reynolds, and there is John sitting on the wall, disconsolate but fit and well. That's the important thing, and the safety runoff areas here at Donington Park, second to none. John Reynolds then unhurt but back with the action, out in front Jamie Whittam, and that gave Terry Rymer on the Norton the opportunity to slip back up into second place.
Yeah, I think Terry Rymer was able to sit back, as you say. Rob McElnea was right behind John Reynolds when he fell, which would have obviously put him off. Terry Rymer was far enough back to see a gap, and it's made up for that mistake he had earlier, so it's put him right back in contention. So I think Terry Rymer could be the man we've got to watch. He could be the fastest man on the circuit. He's still trying to get accustomed to this Norton. As I said earlier, he only got to see the bike on Monday, and the first time he ever rode it was 5 days ago.
Well, let me just bring to your attention, if it escaped your notice, that the other Norton rider, Robert Dunlop from Northern Ireland, has moved up into the top 6, and with him Trevor Nation on the Oxford Fairings Ducati is now tucked into 6th place. Robert Dunlop is in 5th. Morrison is flying the sole Kawasaki flag, number 6. That is Rob McElnea, last year's champion, who's got his head down, and we are now with Jamie Whittam.
On the left-hand side of the track, you see all the cement dust. That's where a machine's engine's blown up and left a lot of oil. So you saw the streak of cement dust down the left-hand side. But we're on board with Jamie Whittam as we accelerate now.
There's absolutely no margin for error here, because Terry Rymer is pushing that Norton in very hard indeed after Jamie Whittam. And I think as each lap goes by, Rymer is growing in stature with the Norton. He's gaining in confidence. He's certainly gaining visibly on Jamie Whittam. The Norton is so much lighter, it's very nimble through the turns, if a bit wobbly in a straight line, but Terry Rymer certainly has come to terms with this, and the bike is set up just as Ron Haslam was riding it.
Yeah, he's had to adapt a great deal. This bike weighs 135 kilograms, which is getting on for 30 kilograms lighter than the bike that Jamie Whittam's on, so it's a great weight advantage that he has, and it makes it more able to brake and accelerate quicker. So I think he could be the man to watch, but he's obviously not going to push it too hard in these early stages.
Trevor Nation there still in 6th place, ahead of him Dunlop, Morrison, McElnea, Rymer and Whittam, and that's the battle that we're looking at now. John Reynolds then cruising back. He'll be a little bit fed up, but there are in fact two 750cc. It's Morrison. That's Morrison, number 6. So the other Kawasaki has retired. So number 6, Brian Morrison, is out of the running now, and that moves everyone up a place. That means Trevor Nation on the Ducati goes up to 5th, and that was Nation number 8 flashing through there, and this is Jamie Whittam.
Again, we're coming down here into the Melbourne loop. You see again the cement dust on the left-hand side of the circuit. Whittam tips it in, clips the apex there, accelerates hard. You'll probably see the front end come up a section, up it comes in the air, wobbling a little bit as they come down towards Goddard's, braking hard, the front end of the bike's dipping hard, tips it into the left until you can see the exit. Now you can see the exit, you're coming around to the start and finish straight, hard on the power, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 4th gear, into 5th, accelerating 135 miles an hour before he brakes hard at the point there into Redgate corner. So he's tipping it into the right, clip the apex on the right, accelerating very, very hard now towards Craner curves through their 3rd gear. Coming up to Craner now into 4th, a short shift into 5th gear, into the right-hander, flicking it left at this point here, down the hill. It's very, very steep here. As you brake into the old hairpin, down into 3rd gear again, clip the apex, drifting out to the left, sometimes up on the curves. He just touches the curve there on the left.
Excellent on-bike stuff from Jamie Whittam, and even better on-bike description there from Steve Parrish, as through back into 2nd place goes Rob McElnea, scything through on the inside of his former teammate Terry Rymer, who's not having any of it, and squeezes the Norton past again into 2nd. Well, you could put a blanket over these three. Gripping stuff here at Donington. Suzuki leads Norton, leads Yamaha, and the Norton now is going for the lead at the S's. He's on the inside, but this is where Rymer has a job to stop the Norton. The engine braking characteristics are nothing like those of the big four-stroke four cylinders he's used to riding, and that might give him a problem. In fact, it did. It dropped him back to third.
Yeah, and I think it dropped Rob Mack back as well. He was going in there very hot and he was struggling to stop it. It seems to be a problem that he's got to get himself accustomed to, but it's given Whitham a break and he's got away by half a second. So that's just what Jamie Whitham needed. It gave him more of a problem we thought, because McElnea is into second. So you saw that Terry Rymer was struggling into the S's, but he's closed back now into Rob McElnea. McElnea nearly clips his knee on the curb on the inside. Now you'll see the power of the Norton as it accelerates down to Redgate.
Number 20, Robert Dunlop, has come to play as well, so he's hooked himself up into fourth place. And Trevor Nation on the Ducati number 8 is having one of the best rides this season so far on that beautiful sounding motorcycle. There's Robert Dunlop, number 20, 31 years of age, little Robert Dunlop, who has a tremendous advantage in terms of a power to weight ratio. Ian Simpson, number 22, is up in 6th place. Jamie Whittam really having to work for this one, but managing now to keep that advantage. There's Robert Dunlop, number 20. Robert, who is taking that Norton to the Isle of Man TT literally in a few days' time, and the good news for Isle of Man fans is that here on Grandstand we shall be featuring 2 of the races from the Isle of Man TT, one of the 750 Formula 1 and one of the senior races, so that's good news indeed.
McElnea having a look on the inside there as they came into the S's, closed right in on Whitham. Whitham normally very, very good on the brakes, very late on the brakes, but we're going to see as they come down to the Melbourne loop now whether or not McElnea can close that gap again.
Well, Rob McElnea in second place has taken on an extra mantle this year, because not only is he the number 1 rider in the Yamaha team, he is also managing the team, so very much a dual role for Rob McElnea, and the responsibilities of holding that team together, handling the budgets, raising the necessary finance, really a job in itself, as my co-commentator Steve Parrish knows only too well. But Rob Mack seems to be coping with that, almost though giving up second place halfway through the race to Terry Rymer, who is going up and dropping back and climbing back up the leaderboard again. But Terry Rymer, I'm sure, has a little bit left. The bad news for the Kawasaki team, of course, is that both their runners who were on the front row, both Morrison and John Reynolds, have exited from the proceedings, and in front goes Rob McElnea. We are now looking at the rear end of Rob McElnea, who has just zoomed past Jamie Whittam on the Suzuki.
Yeah, that was a great pass. Rob just went through the inside there as they went into the old hairpin. A lovely pass, and he's got through, but now Jamie Whittam's got all the work to do. But right behind Jamie Whittam we could easily see a black fight come into the picture, because Terry Rymer is very, very close. I don't think either of these 2 riders will be wanting Rob Mack to make a break at this point. We're at mid-race distance. Okay, there, Rob just comes down the inside here. He's got a nice tight line, tips it in. Whittam's about to lean it in, has to pick it up. Whittam tries to cut back and get on the inside, but that was not possible because Rob's used up all the road, got on the power pretty hard there in third gear. That passing manoeuvre was taking place at about 100 miles an hour.
It's all right if you say it quickly, isn't it? 100 miles an hour, and they're that close you could almost put a cigarette paper between them, and that's about it. But a big wobble there from the Norton, who's now gone up into second place. Terry Rymer ahead of Whittam, and Terry Rymer now tacked firmly on the back end of Rob McElnea as they come on to the start-finish straight again. McElnea over the line, then it's Rymer, then Jamie Whittam number 5, and Rymer on the inside at Redgate. Now is the Norton going to run on, or will he get it round? Settles for second. Yeah,
at this point I don't think Terry needs to get in front, even if it's possible. I think the best thing he could do is sit behind Rob and get his brakes sorted out. He seems to be having some problems at the end of the straight into the S's, so I think that he'd be well advised to do that at this point. But the lap times are not really fast, 38.97, so they're a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds off their qualifying times. So I think at the moment they're probably getting in each other's way.
As things settle just for a moment and the pace cools marginally, I think it might be worth just mentioning that it's been an absolutely oddball off-season for most of the riders, in that a lot of them have changed camps early into the year. Terry Rymer, for example, the man in second place, is one of those riders who, dissatisfied with the team he signed for at the beginning of the year, found himself really without a motorcycle for domestic competition, although he is contracted to Kawasaki for world endurance events. Barry Simmons of the Norton team was very quick to seize the opportunity and offer the injured Ron Haslam's bike to Terry Rymer, who is acquitting that decision beautifully now by showing just what he's made of and what he can do with the Norton. And I think although the deal is on a race-by-race basis, if this is the sort of performance that Terry Rymer is going to deliver on the Norton, then I think he'll be there for a little while. The leading two then stretching away from the third place man. Rob McElnea, number 1, still leads at Redgate. Right with him though, and looking very comfortable, Terry Rymer, number 23. We are at 2/3 distance. Jamie Whittam now falling back ever so slightly, almost into the clutches of Robert Dunlop, number 20, on the second Norton. Trevor Nation still circulating very well in 5th place, and Ian Simpson propping up the leaderboard in 6th.
Yeah, I think it has to be said that Robert Dunlop's having a terrific ride here. He's well in touch with the leaders. It's the best he's ridden the Norton. When you think he's the man we watched last year riding the little 125 that had something in the region of 35 to 40 brake horsepower, and he's now riding a machine that's producing something like 150 brake horsepower, so that takes an awful lot of getting used to, and I think Robert's acquitting himself very, very well at this point.
And we're looking at Jamie Whittam and Robert Dunlop now, and I think Robert Dunlop has made up his mind that the Suzuki is definitely there for the taking, and he's going to try and get his way past Jamie Whittam, and he's reaching out almost to touch him as they go down towards the hairpin, running in hard on the brakes. The battle at the front is going on. Oh, scrapping like dingbats here. On the inside it's Terry Rymer, who's just having another look, but I think he's testing him at every opportunity, showing Rob McElnea the front wheel. I think he's measuring it up and taking the depth, and he'll have a go.
Yeah, he does need to get his braking points sorted out, and it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but I know that the machine has strange characteristics, nothing like he's ever been used to before. So at the moment then, Robert Dunlop's gone into 3rd spot also, so that's a 2nd and 3rd place at the moment for the Nortons. A terrific achievement from Robert.
Now let's just take a look where they are. You can see there's another black figure in 3rd place. That's Robert Dunlop, and Jamie Whittam now down to 4th, and Mick Grant, I'm sure his team manager will be frantically sticking the team board out, but Jamie, although a young man, has a very mature and sensible head inside that helmet and won't be taking too many chances. There are 11 more of these 750cc races to go, so this is only the first of 12.
Yeah, I think that Jamie Whittam must have a problem. I'm not sure what it is, but his times have dropped off pretty dramatically. Meanwhile, back, Rob McElnea coming into the S's here, number 1, 23, Terry Rymer. Terry Rymer, due to the time restraints of getting his equipment ready to ride for this team, had to spray his leathers black. They didn't have time to make a new set for him, so he's actually using his leathers from last season, and they're sprayed black, including the boots. So if it rains, we could see Terry Rymer change colour.
Well, number 23, Terry Rymer, just 25 years of age, and he freely admits that his main ambition is to become 500cc world champion, and I suppose, Steve, that's the ambition of every aspiring motorcyclist. Do we really have the talent in this country, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, do we have the talent in this country to produce a 500cc world champion?
Well, that's a very difficult question, but I think we would know a lot better if we were able to put the best riders on the best machines. Now, Harris Performance Products of Hartford, who are making 500 Grand Prix machines at the moment, they need to get some of the top riders, but they can only do that with the backing from maybe some of the British companies to do so.
Roger Bennett, a number 40, has moved up there into 6th place, so that's a good ride by the Scotsman, who is nursing, and I know for a fact, quite a badly injured right hand, having broken 2 bones in his hand. It's very, very swollen, but he's hanging onto the throttle. The problem, of course, comes with heavily sort of braking, pulling in the front lever, makes it very difficult, and if the hand's injured, which it is in Roger Bennett's case, then that's a problem for him. Nevertheless, he's battling on another Ducati, so we have Ducatis in 5th and 6th, ridden by Trevor Nation and Roger Bennett respectively. An excellent performance for the Italian V-twin mark.
Number 22, Simpson, is out of the race. He was in 6th spot, so it's a shame for him. But nevertheless, Terry Rymer, you see the power of the Norton closing in on McElnea now as they come up to the Melbourne Loop. And he tries to go around the outside. I don't think he can go around the outside because Rob Mack will hold the inside tight line, but he's trying very, very hard. But McElnea's going to have a good drive coming out, and he does manage to hold on to first place. But at this point, the power of the Norton could work on the inside. Hard on the brakes. Whether or not he can keep a tight line and stop McElnea cutting back underneath, he tips it in and he's got the lead. Terry Rymer's taken the lead.
There you have it then, number 23, Terry Rymer, out in front. Rob McElnea still in second, and these two are some 4 seconds ahead of the 3rd and 4th place men. Rymer now really on the charge, and an enormous wobble. The Norton shook its head ferociously there, threatening to spit Terry Rymer off, but undaunted, Terry grabbed another big handful, straightened the Norton out. And there's a lot of scrapping going on behind him. I think Rob McElnea is going to use all his experience to get past his former teammate. But the Norton, and we've said it before, is extremely quick. It's very light, it's very manoeuvrable, and Rob McElnea is going to have to work very hard indeed. But certainly his practice showing didn't indicate to us he'd be going this well.
No, it didn't, but albeit the times aren't that fast. John Reynolds still has the fastest lap of this race, albeit that he's out of the race. He's still put in the quickest time. Now Terry Rymer will see the power of the Norton, should be able to extend his lead fractionally along this straight here now, but he does seem to have problems on the brakes, so if McElnea's going to come back at him, it will be here at this point or at the Melbourne Loop. But no, he seems to have sorted that problem out. He's got through the S's really well, and now he can really turn on the power, and you should see that distance expand a little bit, and you see that Terry Rymer just pulls away with the sheer power of that Norton.
Up into 7th place has come number 43, Simon Watson from Saffron Walden, so that's a good ride for him. He's getting his act together, but past a tail-ender. Number 57 is a tail-ender, almost getting in the way, in fact slowing Rob McElnea down at Goddard's. This might be the opportunity that Terry Rymer needs to stretch the gap. Rob McElnea has got to negotiate 2 or 3 tail-enders, but by the same token, so has Terry Rymer. They are now lapping fast and furious.
Well, so far those black markers have played into the hands of Terry Rymer. He's managed to sneak through before the corners or after them, and it's caught Rob McElnea out because he's got them right in the corner. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just good or bad luck. But now Terry Rymer's been held up right on the apex of that corner. He'll try and cut round here, and he's got through one. He'll pass another one before we get up to McLean's corner.
Just look at Terry Rymer then on the Norton. This is the 1990 Supercup champion you're looking at now. Behind him is the 1991 Supercup champion, Rob McElnea, but Terry Rymer appears to be really enjoying riding the Norton. I would think he's getting a great deal of satisfaction out of using a motorcycle that he enjoys riding and that he seems to be well suited to.
Well, he's certainly scything his way through those back markers at the moment. He can use that power. Rob McElnea got a problem here because he's now caught up number 73 as they come into the chicane, which is going to slow him right through there, left and a right. There's nothing he could do about that. He was held up. So this is the break that Terry Rymer was looking for.
Into the S's as well. Coming through there, it was interesting because Jamie Whittam and Robert Dunlop were also closing up. There's a whole gaggle of traffic. And this is Jamie with Robert Dunlop right ahead of him. We're looking at the 3rd place man in your picture now disappearing from view. And we are riding with the 4th place man, James Whittam, who is right on the back tyre of Robert Dunlop on the Norton. And now let's see how the Norton compares for speed. Just look at that go. It walks away from the Suzuki down the straight, and there's nothing James Whittam can do. That must be unbelievably frustrating.
Well, it's very demoralising, as you saw there, the power, but Whittam's brake, there's nothing wrong with Whittam's brakes, as you see, he closes in there, but that's just what Robert Dunlop wanted. He's managed to put a back marker between himself and James Whittam. James Whittam's now at Craner Curves doing 130 miles an hour. He managed to get through before they get to the left, so that's good. Whittam will now close on the brakes, I think, as they come up to the old hairpin, and he does, closes right into Robert Dunlop, but now the power will go down, 150 brake horsepower, and Robert's away, but he's unable to use all that power because you see the machine's still pretty well cranked over as they come through the left before they brake really hard for McLean's here now. Down into 3rd gear, accelerating at this point very hard. You'll perhaps see the front wheel of the Norton come up in the air. Well, we can't see that, but they're coming up to Coppice corner into 3rd gear, 90 miles an hour at this point. Whittam's really, really close, but I think at this point we're going to see the Norton stretch away now.
Quite a picture, isn't it? The Norton just streaking away, but Jamie Whitham now is on the back, and they've closed up definitely on Rob McElnea, because we are with Rob McElnea, who is now in second place. Third of look at Robert Dunlop rocket past the tail ender down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Terry Rymer, meanwhile, has got some, well, 2.24 seconds is the gap between the race leader and Rob McElnea, and then we have another 2 seconds down to third place, and the battle for third and fourth between Dunlop and Jamie Whitham is raging. And I think Jamie Whitham, as they go into the last lap, might just try and pull something out of the bag to get past Robert Dunlop. Meanwhile, with a little under 2.5 miles for Terry Rymer to do, number 23, he looks to be heading for 20 points. 20 for the win, 17 for second, 15 for third, not to mention an insignificant amount, or not insignificant amount of money, £650 for the win.
Well, if Terry Rymer can do it, it's going to be a fairy tale start to the Supercup series for him. He's had a wretched season up until now with all sorts of problems. He's certainly not hanging around. You saw the machine snaking and sliding around. Not only has he had to acclimatise himself towards the Norton, but also he switched from Dunlop to Michelin tyres, which have totally different characteristics. So he's had an awful lot of work to do this week, but it looks, if he can just keep it all together and keep his composure, he's going to win this first round of the Supercup.
Quarter of a lap to do then for the race leader as he disappears, and Whitham now is really scrapping, trying to get past Robert Dunlop, but they're onto this extremely quick part of the course, and Whitham has just got to sit back and let it happen until he goes in hard on the brakes, which is certainly what he's going to try and do. I think probably the Melbourne Loop is his only chance if he can get on the inside at the Melbourne Loop.
Well, I think he's going to have to do it at Goddard's, unless he's going around the outside. It's a long, long way round, but I don't think he's going to do this. But if he can get a drive out of here now... Oh, and he's off! Whittam's down.
Well, Jamie Whitham picking the bike up, that tells the story. Poor James Whitham slipped on the last lap. Over the line then goes Terry Rymer, the checkered flag out. Terry gets the win. He's jubilant. Second place goes to Rob McElnea. Third to Robert Dunlop. And on their warm-up lap, but it's baking hot. The spectators enjoying the sunshine, very much so here in fact, and the 125's traditionally one of the closest. Moody on